For a long time, I thought that simply putting green onions in the refrigerator was enough. But the reality turned out to be very different. No matter how carefully I wrapped them, after just a few days, the green onions would soften, turn yellow, lose their aroma, and eventually be thrown away with regret. Perhaps many of you have experienced the same feeling, buying a whole bunch of fresh green onions, using only a little, and then watching the rest go bad. I began to wonder, are green onions really that difficult to store, or was I simply not doing it the right way? And then, through many rounds of trying and adjusting, I discovered that with just a small change in how they are stored, green onions can last much longer, still green, still fragrant, and always ready for family meals. Today, Mary Home would like to share with you 3 simple ways to store green onions at home. If you cook often and don't want to waste green onions anymore, these tips will definitely be helpful for you. Before we move on to method 1, let's do one very important step together: properly preparing the green onions. Many people skip this step, so no matter which method they use, the green onions still spoil quickly, become soft, and develop an unpleasant smell. But if we take care of this step carefully from the beginning, the green onions will be cleaner, drier, and last much longer. When you first bring green onions home, don't rush to put them straight into the refrigerator. I usually place the bunch on the kitchen counter and take a quick look, picking out any leaves that are bruised, yellowed, or feel soft and limp. I remove those right away because even a small damaged section can cause the whole bunch to deteriorate much faster. Next, I cut off the fibrous roots and any parts of the base that are heavily covered with dirt. If the base still looks good and firm, I only trim a very thin slice to preserve the life of the green onions. Now comes the washing step. I place the green onions in a bowl of clean water, gently dip and swirl them with my hand so that dirt settles to the bottom. If the water becomes cloudy quickly, I pour it out and change the water once more. This method cleans the green onions without rubbing them too hard, because rubbing too much can bruise them, and once green onions are bruised, they will spoil quickly no matter how you store them. Once the green onions are clean, I lift them out and let them drain briefly, then move on to the most important step: drying them thoroughly. Please remember this, because standing water is the #1 enemy that causes green onions to become slimy and spoil quickly. I spread them out on a clean cloth or paper towels and gently pat each part dry, especially between the leaves and around the base. These areas tend to trap water the most. If I have time, I usually let them rest for another 15 to 20 minutes to air dry naturally. When they feel dry to the touch, I know they're ready. Where are you watching this video from? Let me know so Mary Home can feel like we're standing together in the same kitchen. Method 1. Soaking the roots in water. Simple but effective. After the green onions have been thoroughly washed and completely dried, I don't rush to store them right away. At this point, I pay close attention to the roots because this is the part that largely determines how long the green onions will stay fresh. I prepare a cup, a small glass jar, or any clean container with an opening that doesn't need to be wide. I pour in just enough water to cover the roots of the green onions, making sure the water does not reach the green stalks. This point is very important because if the water level is too high, the green onions can easily become waterlogged and rot from the inside. Next, I gently place each green onion into the container, letting the roots stand in the water while the leaves extend naturally upward. Even at this stage, you can already see the green onions look more alive, almost as if they're being given a drink of water. I place the container of green onions in a cool, airy spot with gentle light, or inside the refrigerator if the weather is hot. Every day or every other day, I change the water to keep it clean and odor-free. You'll notice that the green onions don't become soft. The leaves stay upright, green, and fragrant. With this method, green onions can stay fresh for about 4 to 6 days, which is perfect if you buy green onions to use gradually throughout the week. When it's time to cook, I simply take out a few stalks, cut what I need, and return the rest to the water where they continue to stay fresh. Method 2. Chopping green onions and freezing, convenient for busy days. First, I place the bunch of green onions that have been washed and completely dried onto a cutting board. I cut off the roots, then gather the green stalks neatly together. When cutting, I cut them to the size my family usually uses. If you often sprinkle green onions over soup, porridge, or noodles, you can chop them a bit smaller. If you usually use them for soups, stir fries, or braised dishes, you can cut them slightly longer for easier use. I always cut slowly and gently so the green onions don't get bruised because bruised green onions tend to release water and lose their fragrance when frozen. After cutting, I spread the green onions out on a clean, flat surface and check once more to see if any pieces are still damp. If I notice even a little moisture, I gently blot them with paper towels. This step is very important because the drier the green onions are, the looser they will freeze and the less likely they are to clump together. Next, I transfer the chopped green onions into a food storage container or a zip-top freezer bag. If using a zip-top bag, I spread the green onions into a flat layer, then press out as much air as possible before sealing the bag. Even without a vacuum sealer, pressing out the air by hand is enough. When the green onions lie flat, they're much easier to take out later without having to break them apart or wait for them to thaw. I label the bag with the storage date and place it in the freezer. Each time I cook, I simply open the bag, take out the amount I need, and add it straight to the soup pot or stir-fry pan. There's no need to thaw first. The green onions still keep their fragrance and natural green color when they hit the heat. With this chopped and frozen method, green onions can be used well for about 2 to 3 months. This is the method I find most time saving, especially for families who cook every day, but don't want to wash and chop green onions repeatedly. If you're often busy like I am, this method is truly worth trying. Method 3. Wrapping green onions in paper and storing in a zip bag, keeping them fresh longer in the refrigerator. This method is very familiar, but in reality, many people don't do it correctly, which is why green onions still soften quickly and develop an unpleasant smell. If done properly from the beginning, green onions can stay fresh noticeably longer without using water or the freezer. After the green onions have been thoroughly washed and completely dried, I place them on the counter and arrange them neatly. At this point, remember to check once more. If there is still moisture trapped between the leaves or at the base, gently blot it dry again. The drier the green onions are, the better they will store. Next, I prepare absorbent paper, paper towels, or clean kitchen towels. I spread out the paper, place the green onions on top, then gently roll them up. When rolling, I don't wrap them too tightly, just enough for the paper to lightly hug the bunch. The paper's job is to absorb excess moisture throughout storage, help prevent sliminess and yellowing. After wrapping the green onions in paper, I place the bundles into a zip-top bag. Before sealing, I press out some of the air, but not too forcefully, so the green onions don't get bruised. If possible, you can leave the bag slightly open or seal it almost closed. This allows the green onions to breathe a little and helps them stay fresher. I place the bag of green onions in the refrigerator's crisper drawer, choosing a spot where it won't be moved around much. I avoid placing it too close to the cold wall or air vents because strong cold airflow can cause the green onions to lose moisture quickly. About every 3 to 4 days, I open the bag to check. If the paper feels damp, I replace it with fresh paper. The green onions will become dry and fresh again. With this paper wrapping and zip bag method, green onions can stay fresh for about 7 to 10 days. This method is ideal if you want to keep green onions whole for various dishes without chopping or freezing them in advance. This is the method I usually use alongside the previous two. The green onions I use right away go into water, the ones I want to keep fresh go into paper in the refrigerator, and the ones I want for long-term convenience from are frozen. Thanks to this, my kitchen always has neatly stored green onions, no spoilage and no waste. If you find these tips helpful, please let Mary Home know by leaving a comment. How do you usually store green onions, or which method will you try first after watching this video? Thank you for spending your time with Mary Home. Don't forget to subscribe to follow upcoming videos.